my tribe is on the Inuit, and they lived in the North region, in Greenland, Alaska, Canada, and Siberia, and this region is cold and icy, with Arctic conditions. And this is in Inuksuq, and it was a stone landmark built by humans, and it was used by the Inuit. It's supposed to resemble. It was used for like navigation and a point of reference or a marker for travel routes. And this is the Aurora Borealis, and some of the Inuit believe that they could see their ancestors. They could see some of their ancestors be seen in the Aurora Borealis, or called the Northern Lights. And they thought they could see that. They could look at the lights to find images of their family and friends dancing to the next life. And they would, the Inuit, they have been fishers and hunters, and they hunted polar bear, caribou, seal, and walrus, and whale. Those are just some of the animals that they hunted. And their diet was high in fat and protein, and because it's so cold, they couldn't grow their crops, so they had to eat natural plants like grasses or seaweed. And to dress, they relied on animal hides, and they relied on animal hides, fur, quills, feathers, and trees for making clothes. They had to make warm clothes because it was so cold there, and because of the cold weather. And they also made boots out of sealskin because it was waterproof, and they sewed it together with bone. And their art is they called the fish they called it a qualak, I think that's how you say it. And they caught fish by jigging. The hunter cut a hole in the ice. They cut a hole in the ice in the lake and used a fish lure, and then when fish came up, they'd kill it with their harpoon. And traditionally, they carved for decoration and the use of games, religious purposes, and self-amusement. And their customs were women got married when they were teenagers, and men got married when they became hunters. And a household may consist of their other family members, like their aunts, uncles, parents, siblings. And after a baby was born, a shaman was a religious leader, that he was very well respected, and they would put an ivory carving in their mouth, hoping they would become a good hunter. And the dogs, they used them for transportation on the sleds, and they didn't just do that, they helped hunting because they would sniff out the seals, and they would protect the village by barking at the polar bears. And a documentary film was made in 1922 called Nanook of the North. It allowed lots of people to learn about them, and some of their weapons were a harpoon, a war club, cableback bow, and an Inuit axe. The tools were the ulu, and it was used for cutting frozen meat. And during the winter, they would live in igloos and they would cut ice blocks, and then they'd have to stack them. And in the inside, for warmth, they couldn't have a fire because it melted too much, so they used a stone lamp. And it could have up to 5 rooms and hold up to 20 people. And in the summer, I think they lived in tents made from animal skins. Oh, and something I found interesting was that they called the dogs, they called them Inuit or dog or Quimic, and their name means dog or wolf. And yeah, and the Nanuk. They called the polar bears the Nanuk. They called them, polar bear was the master of the bears. The Inuit believed that the Nanuk polar bear was very powerful and mighty, that he was almost man, and Inuit hunters would worship this great bear because they believed that if he decided if the hunters would be successful or not that day. Is that? Yep, that's it. Oh, and this is Bannock. They made it with lard, and lard is not seal, but it's whale fat, but we didn't actually use that. And flour and salt.